first concept I'm sharing with you is no! No, that hurt. I can't do it anymore. No. There is no way on earth I would ever start any presentation or any workshop like that. Yes, I know, I guess it's pretty ironic because technically now I've started my presentation, but there's no way realistically I'll start it like that. And again, yes, I would have someone do an introduction for me. So thank you, Rob. But again, not like that. So here's how I really start my presentation. Be a lot different to this one. Give me 1 second. Everyone know who this guy is? Yeah, I know that's not. I know it's not Rob, but I'm sure if Rob did music, it'd probably be on the levels with Craig David, right?
No, better.
Or even better. Okay, even better than. Well, what's I can't even think of what his songs now. Monday, like probably song on a Tuesday. But anyway, so let's rewind. Let's do it again. Let's do an actual take of how I'll actually start my presentation. 3, 2, 1. Take 2.
Nationally in the UK, he is accredited professional status of the PSA, that's the Professional Speakers Association, and globally he is part of the Global Speakers Federation, the GSF. These skills were displayed on our TV screens, where he received wide acclaim and praise for his speaking and performance on BBC One's flagship programme, The Apprentice, as well as speaking to thousands of people every year up and down the country. 2, 1, make some noise!
And to be a good leader, you have to be a good servant. And to be a good servant, you have to give a good service.
So, without further ado, with his keynote today, especially for us, called Stop. Have you considered this? Please give a big round of applause and welcome to the stage to Coyote Damali.
Stop! Don't do another presentation or workshop until you've at least considered what I'm going to share with you over the next 30 to 40 minutes. My name is Coyote Damali. I am a mum and dad's son. And ACAS, I'm delighted to be here to deliver your conference closing day one. Make some noise, everybody! Yay! And the first concept I want to share with you is this. And cut! Which one was better? The first one, by show of hands, or the second? Show of hands, please, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad you said that, because if you thought my first one was better, I was about to cry. So yes, my first one was much, much, much better. Because here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. How we start our presentations sets the foundations for the rest of how it goes. So based on that premise, it's important for us in our workshops to make sure that we deliver impact and engagement right from the jump. We have minutes, not even minutes, possibly seconds to create that impact. And if you don't do that right from the off, you're facing an uphill battle to try and get that back. This is why I say rule number 2 for audience engagement is how you open sets the foundations for the rest of your presentation. And now the ones of us in here who are really intricate and really care about details or like things systematic, But Coyote, what happened to rule number 1? Oh, great question. Who said that? Great question over there. Who said that? Great question. What happened to rule number 1? Now, don't worry. Like, I did okay at maths at school. I'm very much aware that 1 comes before 2, except after C. Oh no, wait, hold on. That's I before E, except after C. So I always got my maths and English confused at school. I mean, whose idea was it to put letters in maths? I mean, algebra, whose idea was it to find X? It must have been one of those pirates, right? But at the same time, I still got my X trying to find me. But anyway, that's a completely different story. Now, I took a massive gamble this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, in starting badly to simply illustrate a point, to show you what a bad presentation is like compared to a good one. But hopefully, before I continue, it's twofold. Hopefully, firstly, you can see the demonstration of what a bad opening looks like compared to a good one, and that'll be for your benefit. And the second reason is a bit selfish for my benefit. Hopefully, I still started impact to keep you engaged throughout the rest of my presentation. But without further ado, let's get a massive applause for Rob for doing those nice 2 intros for me, please. I know we just had the BAFTAs on the weekend, and the Oscars aren't until next year, but we'll definitely put you up for a nomination next year, definitely. What do you reckon? He deserves one, right? That's some good acting skills. Okay, so moving on. What was one aspect about my second opening that made it much, much, much better than the first? Now, us as speakers, as trainers, as facilitators, whatever you want to label us as, we know that we know our content. We know our material. We know that we know our stuff inside out, hence why we're presenting that. However, your audience doesn't necessarily know that. So how is it that we can get across our expertise to our audience before we even start? Because if we fail to do so, then essentially, we're just anybody to them. Now, yes, it comes in the form of foundations of a great opening. Take this hotel, for example. I decided to call it the ACAS Hotel. Just like this hotel here, Jerusalem in Birmingham, if you imagine the opening to your workshop, that there's still beams holding this hotel up. Without a strong opening, the building would eventually collapse. And we can't have this hotel collapse here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I mean it. Now, no matter how real your quotes are, there'll be some people who never hit the like button just because it's you. Take person A, for example. Person A is doing a workshop. He's got a massive audience in front of him. He's delivering a message. Or even if it's on social media, online. Person A, he's delivering a message online. And he gets no engagement. When now person B comes along, says the exact same message. Ends up getting loads of likes. Look at person A now. But yeah, he said the exact same message. So why is it that person B was able to say the exact same message in the exact same way as person A and get much more engagement? Why is that? And person B ends up looking like this. You would, right? Now, going back to what I said in my introduction, I had 2 distinct introductions. What is it that allowed my second one to be much more better than the first? What can we do before we even begin our workshops What can we do to try and get that engagement before we even open our mouths? Because I don't know about some of you, but when I've gone to deliver workshops before, not necessarily everybody in the room knows who I am. Take today, for example. Raise your hand if you don't know who I am. I mean, I'm not offended by it. There we go, like half the room almost don't know who I am. What about yourselves? When you deliver a workshop, does every single person in there know you? No. So what can you do for those people to show that you're an expert before you begin? An answer, my friends. They call me the Black Zeus. Edification. What we can do before we even start and before we open our mouths is that we can at least be edified before we actually begin. Demonstrating our expertise, as we saw on my second introduction, a little bit about me for the audience to be like, all right, maybe I should listen to this dude, or not. But hopefully you do want to. Because by starting initially from just walking up and saying, hi, my name is, no one cares. And in fact, most of your names aren't unique to you anyway. Everyone's got, I mean, I even know other coyotes. So they don't even care that I'm coyote. They might know coyote down the road. So what is it that is unique to me? And why does edification work? Dr. Steve J. Martin. Now, I don't want you to necessarily listen to me. Let's back this in psychology. Let's back this in science. I don't know if you've heard of my bio, but I've actually got a degree in psychology. Any did psychology at uni? Any psychologists? Yay, a few of us. So I did my degree in psychology, so I can't help but throughout my workshops and stuff to try and intertwine it in there somehow. Let's take Dr. Steve J. Martin, for example. Author of the book, yes, 50 scientifically proven ways to be persuasive. Now here's what happened. So Dr. G.J. Oh my God. See, sometimes I can't get my words out, and that's okay. I'm going to talk about a latter part of my presentation. I'm going to get onto that. So someone remind me at the start. That's going to be a perfect example. But anyway, Dr. Steve J. Martin, a real estate firm, wants to bring him in as a psychologist based on his expertise in his book to help them increase their conversions, help them get from prospects, so people are just interested in their business, to becoming an actual customer. After going into this company, he analyzed it, and he simply said to the receptionist, when you transfer the call from the customer, from the prospects, to speak to the agent to close them, I don't want you to say, hi, I'm now going to pass you through to an agent. He says, I want you to add one word, which is this. This is a secret, no one can look. He simply said this. Don't tell the prospects I'm going to transfer you to an agent. Tell them I'm going to transfer you to an expert agent. Just this one word. And what they found a 16% increase in sales simply by adding this one word. Let's do a different color. Let's do red. 16% increase. From what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From a 6-letter word. That's like each letter been worth like what? 2.66%. That, my friends, is the power of edification. Simply ethically manipulating or persuading the listener as to the reason why you should listen to the person you're about to speak to. Simply by getting across the point at the beginning that you're about to listen to an expert. This is why when we're delivering our workshops, how can we get across to our audience, particularly those who don't even know who we are? How can we show them from the jump? I'd like to do my little jump, sorry. How can we show them from the jump that we are an expert? Let me give you the context behind this little jump, actually. I don't know, basically, you know when you go raving when you're younger, right? I'm from South, anyone from London, South Londoners?
Yay. What part? Croydon. I went to school in Forest Hill. Yeah. So when I used to be living in South London, right, I used to like to go to the rave late, you know, like go to fashion be late, and everyone be dancing in the middle, and then I used to just jump in and go like this. Oh no, my slides are playing. I used to just jump in and go like this, and it became a little jump. So that's what I was saying. So anyway, that is the power of letting them know you're an expert. In real estate, that's an extra 16% in sales. So what impact can it have for yourselves? You've kind of seen it now, so I've got to show you now. This person here, Marshall McLuhan, RIP, he said that the medium is the message. The medium. The message isn't as important, but it's the medium or the channel that the message comes through. That's us. We are the important part of it. He was a communication theorist. He says to me, and in fact, when it was actually published, it never said the medium is the message. It actually said the medium is the massage. Well, there was a typo. They didn't have backspace back in those days. You know, typewriter, once you commit, you got to keep it. You know what I mean? So it said, the medium is the massage. I mean, medium massage, I mean, that's not too bad, right? Better than them hard ones. But he said the medium is the message. So that is the power for us to get edified beforehand. Because it doesn't matter who says the message. Like I gave you the example, person A or person B. They both said the same thing. One person got much more engagement than the other. Based on Marshall McLuhan theory, that's because it's all about the medium. It's all about the channel that it's going through. I love it. Anyone seen the movie 300? So you know when they say, don't kill the messenger, as he did there, like, you know, drop kicked him into that well, like, that's a serious kick, you know. In a way, he's right. You know, they say, don't kill the messenger. He's right. You should kill the messenger. Because it's all on the messenger, not the message. This is why it's important for us from the jump to make sure that we're edified correctly to get our message across. But let's throw a little caveat in there. You know, baseball is so boring, by the way. Has anyone seen? I must have been in New York. I actually watched the New York Yankees, like one of the best teams in the world. But yet, baseball's only played in America. I don't get how you're the best team in the world if the sport's only played in one country. But anyway, what, 9 innings? They wanted me to sit there for 9 innings? I went out 9 times, so that's basically 9 outings. I wasn't saying it for 9 innings. But anyway, let's throw a caveat in there. Let's say, right, thanks, Coyote. I understand the importance for me now to get edified before I start my presentation to almost ethically manipulate or persuade my audience to listening to me. But let's say the caveat is like, right, thanks, Coyote, but I'm going to now go up there and edify myself. I mean, yeah, you can just go up there and read a sheet of paper and tell everyone how great you are, but you run the risk of just becoming a dick. No one wants to hear you talk about yourself for a minute. It's much, much better to have that third party do that for you. And yes, I understand, you might be sitting there thinking, but when I deliver workshops, I go alone. I don't necessarily have a partner with me to do that. Well, guess what? I came here alone. I asked Gareth, who can I ask to edify me? He said, Rob can. So if you're out on the road, if you're doing your workshops out on the road, not internal, you can ask someone to do the edification for you. Because it's much more better than you doing it yourself. And it's also much, much better than you just not doing it at all. Does that make sense? Everyone understand that? Yes or no? Yeah. Brilliant. High five the person to your right. Say, I get it. High five the person to your left and say, I know you get it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your first takeaway from me today. Your first takeaway. Oh, we got some energy at the back. I like it, see? Anyway, just to wrap up the first part. Robert Cialdini. This is kind of wrap up what I'm saying in the concept of psychology. Communicators, that's us, stand to be more effective by highlighting the idea of authority, not just inside the message, not just inside their message, but inside the moment before their message. In this persuasive way, audiences will become sensitized to and thus be readied for the coming authoritative evidence in the message, i.e. they're going to be more engaged, making them more likely to pay attention and assign it importance and consequently be influenced by it. And is that not the reason why we're delivering our workshops? To influence them in some kind of way? So if you don't want to listen to me, I haven't got a PhD, he does, so maybe he's more important than me. Do you listen to Robert Cialdini, if I'm pronouncing that right? Anyway, now, that was the first concept I wanted to share with you. Now, us as workshop facilitators or trainers or speakers, however you want to label us, we think that, right, we're going to go in and everyone might or might not be on our side. That's fine. But you might go in there and realize to yourself, like, right, whether the audience are ready to listen to me or not, I at least have all of my tools ready to listen to me or to work with me in delivering my message. Because so far I spoke to you about edification. That was before you start. That's almost like your pastation. But it's a presentation. We're dealing with it in the present. It's not a pastation. It's not a futuretation. It's a presentation. So how are we going to get engagement from the present? But one thing we might not be aware of, it's even happened to me today. Like, I'm actually falling victim to it today. We all do. What you might be unaware of, that when you're delivering your workshops, particularly like how I'm doing it today, you might be unaware of this unknown war that is taking place. It's minuscule, yet fundamental. It's quite unknown, but it can be dreadful. This is the most PG image I could find of war. And because we might not be aware of it, that is the reason why it becomes so lethal. Because tell me this, ladies and gentlemen, how many of you have found that when you're in the audience, it's okay to say now, how many have found that when you're in the audience, you're not always paying attention to the speaker, and you might be thinking about other things? You're still okay to admit, you might think about what you had for dinner yesterday, you might be thinking about what was on TV later. Anyone felt like that before? They're not always 100% engaged in the person speaking? Or let's flip it the other way. How many of you found that when you're delivering workshops, you can see the people in the audience not paying attention to you? You don't have to admit it, we all experience it. How many of you can realize that when you're delivering workshops? And that's because of this unknown war that is taking place. What is this war? I'm about to share it with you. The war, you're not the person who you're warring against. So once you're allied, that's what makes it even worse. What's the antagonist? Is that how you say it? Antagonist. So the person who was once your ally, but he's now or she's now your antagonist. And what do I mean by that? Who is your antagonist sometimes when you're delivering your workshops? It's actually your slides. How many of us, when we're trying to say our point, realize the audience aren't listening to us, they're just focusing on the slide? We think that sometimes using slides work in our favor, and sometimes as speakers, some people say don't use slides at all, because they can work very much against you. Because it's important for us to try, and we want to direct the audience attention where we want it to go. Because if we can capture their attention and direct it where we want it to go, that equals control. We then have control about where they're focusing, and that equals engagement. Now, like I said to you, when you are doing your own workshops and presentations, this might happen.
Hey guys!
Oh, what are you doing here?
What do you mean? I've just come to speak to the guys at ACAS.
No, you're not. Go away.
Fine.
So like I said before I was rudely interrupted, sometimes you want to be delivering a presentation, but the slides are a massive distraction. So how is it that we can keep their attention on us and that the audience aren't focusing too much on the slides? And there's a very, very simple trick in doing that. And, oh my God!
Stop! In the name of love.
You are so annoying.
No, you're annoying. Just because you're an apprentice, you think they all slick. They don't want to listen to you anyway.
Yes, they do. Now go away and take off that stupid hat.
Psst. ACAS guys, don't listen to him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. In fact, get Tony or Gareth to kick him out.
Oh my God, that's it. I'm coming up there.
Jesus, oh my God. So annoying. See what I mean? I'm just trying to deliver my content, and the slides are just a massive distraction. I want you to focus on me and focus on the slides from what I want you to. So how do we win this battle?
How do we win this battle of attention between our supposed ally turned antagonist? How are we going to win the battle of attention from our audience to gain the control to then gain their engagement? And it's very simple. It's all in the power of the hand. I would juggle if I had more than one. Comes from this. If you don't already, whenever you are delivering a workshop, make sure you use a clicker. I first noticed at university, I mean, not to blow my own trumpet or strum my own guitar, however you want to call it. At university, I used to get presentation marks like 80s, 90s, high first. And the reason being is that when I came into my first year and we did presentations, I was noticing that everybody else had to be stuck here pressing a click. However, when you have one of these, you can roam. But the best thing about it is that on most of these features, you have the button to black the screen when you want. So you might have noticed I've been doing it today already. When I want you to focus on the screen, I'll let you focus on the screen. When I want the attention back on me, I want it back on me. Ignore the screens. This is how we beat our antagonist of the attention-grabbing, flipping slide stealers, however you want to call it. I need a better name for him, the antagonist. I want a better name for him. But anyway, so right now, you can look at him, go and look at him, he's fine, look at him, he's cool. All right, back onto me now. I want the attention. Back onto me, engage here, the engagement, I want you to be here. All right, you can look at him again, all right, cool, right, have your fun. All right, here now, I want eyeballs here. Here, this is what I want the engagement here, this is what I want the focus. Oh, yeah, okay, you can be the focus now, all right, goodbye, here. Are we seeing how simple this is? You want to control the eyeballs. You don't want them to wander anywhere else. I mean, it's hard enough as it is. People are going to already think about dinner, think about their kids. So have whatever control you can. All right, you can dab. All right, goodbye. Oh, that dab, I like it. All right, back onto me now. Very simple tool. I learned that whenever we're delivering workshops, presentations, have a clicker. Because then you have the feature to turn it on and off. Or if you don't have a clicker, again, I reckon it's only like a tenner, they're even cheaper than that. If you press Shift B, if you're standing by with your laptop, you can do it that way to black the screen. But again, I definitely recommend having the clicker. Because this is what we don't want. Anyone found that before? Again, from themselves, maybe. In a presentation, you're not sleeping, just resting your eyes. Or even worse, when you're presenting, you notice the head's going down. Are you sleeping? No, I'm just resting my eyes. Cute dog, right? So how can we avoid that from happening? Not just by the attention using this, because this is an external tool. This is used externally. This isn't part of us. What do we have in our own arsenal that can help drive the engagement? That can help command the attention from the people in our workshops? Now, this tool, something was made available to all of us, not just me. And this takes us from having a presentation or workshop where it's just flatlined, it takes us from a flatline presentation, can you guys see it okay from over there, to one where it's more dynamic. This tool we use is something that we were born with, But we didn't really learn how to use it until about 1 or 2 years old. Does anyone have any idea what I'm talking about? Anyone? Your voice. The way we use our voices plays a massive impact in how we keep our audiences engaged. In terms of your voice, I believe there's 3 voices in all of us. Now, has anyone ever heard of or been even accused himself of being a monotone speaker? A speaker who just speaks like this throughout the whole 45 minutes, or even half a day workshop, 3 hours like this, or even worse, 6 hours, a full day workshop like this. We might be a monotone speaker ourselves, or we might have heard other monotone speakers. Maybe we should all form a club. But again, just to throw a caveat in there, a lot of people think that monotone speakers just speak like this. Because you may be surprised for me to tell you that even I fall victim to being a monotone speaker. Because monotone speakers don't just speak on one level. Monotone speakers speak on several levels, which I'm going to touch on over the next couple of minutes. So, see how I use the voice? Who was sleeping? So, well, who said that? Do you know what I mean? The first voice we use when we're presenting is our auditory voice. I like to represent it using an owl. Because our fourth voice within us, our auditory voice, is one like an owl. Because when we say the word owl, we are deliberately sounding out every letter that we can. This tends to be our normal voice. Just speaking how we do, trying to pronunciate each letter as we're talking normally. This is our auditory voice. It sometimes sounds very rhythmic, like it almost has a melody or like a sing-song to it. This is just us speaking normally as we do in maybe everyday conversation. Maybe not, of course I'm exaggerating it now, but this is our auditory voice represented by the owl, because I'm making sure I try to emphasize every letter in that word. Our second kind of voice now this is our visual voice. This is our voice when we want to call our audiences to action. This is our voice when we want to be triumphant. This is our voice when we really want to get people alert, represented by the lion. Now, of course, we can't speak in this voice for too long because it begins to hurt our throats. However, when you're using this visual voice, you're using it deliberately. It doesn't matter if you're tripping up on your words because you're calling them to action. So remember I said to remind you me about the example I said earlier when I was trying to say Dr. Steve Chaldine, when I was trying to say Dr. Steve Martin. It doesn't matter because I'm using my triumphant voice, my call to action voice to drive home a point. It doesn't matter if you trip up on words, you're just trying to get your point across. Does that make sense? Yes. Thank you. But now, this is our third type of voice. Represented by the sloth. I read some statistics about sloths. Apparently, for them to move 10 meters, maybe from here to the end of the room, that takes them about 10 minutes. When we're using our kinesthetic voice, you'll notice that there's big pauses in between. Because we're using this voice very deliberately to speak on certain matters. Can you hear the power of that silence? This is me now using my kinesthetic voice. Now, some people think that a monotone speaker might speak like this for the whole duration of their 45 minutes or 3-hour workshop or half-day workshop. Can we really blame audiences for not being engaged if we're only using our kinesthetic voices? It's powerful, but when used correctly. I just love the silence. And cut. So there are 3 different types of voices. What voice am I in now? I'm in the visual because I'm trying to get your attention. Now, a lot of people think, like I said, a monotone speaker is one who might just speak at the kinesthetic level. However, monotone means mono being one, tone being tone, right? Monotone. A monotone speaker is someone who might speak at the visual level non-stop. Technically, they're a monotone speaker. They're only speaking on one level for the whole 45 minutes, or the whole 3 hours, the whole 4 hours even. A monotone speaker might be someone who speaks in the auditory. The power of these different 3 levels comes when you use them in contrast. So even in the same sentence, you might want to be doing visual, 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 then drop it. It's powerful, it gets their attention. You might want to start kinesthetic. And then raise your voice. Powerful. If you look back to my chart, badly drawn chart, I didn't do art. I did do art, I got a C actually. I love the quote. We don't want our speeches to be flatlined like this. We want our speeches to be alive. And what does this kind of represent? A heart rate monitor. So if you want our speeches to come alive, if you want to pack some punch into our speeches, then use my friends. The visual, the lion, comes up here. Powerful when we need to come up here. The auditory comes along here. Our kinesthetic comes along here. They call this the charisma pattern, or they call this AVK sequencing. You might have heard either 2 of those terms. And the reason why it's so powerful in delivering workshops, particularly for our long ones, is when you use it in contrast. The power is in the contrast. Take colors, for example. Black looks boring in itself, so does white combined. Wow, that's a massive contrast. What other contrast colors are there? Purple and yellow. Each individual, they look bland together. Wow, that's a powerful contrast. Artists use it all the time in their paints. We can use it with our voice. We can paint pictures with our words, literally by using AVK sequencing. Now, how far can we go? Because a lot of us, in terms of AVK sequencing, our bandwidths are quite narrow. So there's not much range. But how far can you be kinesthetic? To how far can you be visual? Because the wider your bandwidth, the more powerful your voice can be. PQRS wave. If done correctly, you can even make numbers sound engaging. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 17. 18, 19, and let me tell you about the number 20. Anything can sound engaging once you use the AVK sequencing. My final point I want to leave you with. One of my favorite cartoons growing up. Everyone know this one? SpongeBob. And now in this episode of SpongeBob, he visits his friend Sandy, who lives in an air tank underwater, and he's gone to visit her, and he's dying for water. All he cares about is his water. Nothing more, he just wants the water. Black screen, where do I want the attention? Thank you. I have here some Tesco Value salt. I can't afford the Saxo one, I think. Is it the Saxo or Sax? It's Sax, right? I just buy the Tesco Value. It costs like £1. If I pour some, I'm not going to do it now, it could be stupid. If I pour salt in my hand, pull it in my mouth, I too will be like SpongeBob and be dying for a glass of water. And what we can learn from SpongeBob, or what we can learn from eating food that is far too salty, making us desperate for some water, in fact, this is the state that we want our audiences in. In speaking terms, we call this sorting, not sorting, S-O-R-T, sorting our content. We want to sort our content for them to want more, being the water. Because if you just give it to them on a plate, they see what's coming. And there's no reason for them to be engaged. If you go to the movie theater and watch a movie, and you really know everything's coming, how engaged are you going to be? Which is why when we're crafting our content, we need to sort it as much as possible. Zum Beispiel, for example, in German. I practice German. Let's take, for example, bullet points. Because a lot of us, we use bullets in our presentations. I don't always advocate for using bullet points. I believe a picture paints 1,000 words. But every now and again, we do have to use bullet points. And this is how we can sort it with bullet points. Just give you one example. When? Curious what's going to, you want to know what's next, right? Bullet points come up. One at a time. See how I'm sorting it? It creates any ideas what's the last word going to be? Expectations, tension, anyone else? Anticipation. See, we don't know. We don't know what's coming next, do we? We don't know. It's none of them. Inquisitiveness. You don't want to be predictable in your content. You don't want of course, this is a very basic example, but we don't want our audiences to predict our content. We want to keep it sexy. We want to keep it exciting. Who remembers I said rule number 2 for audience engagement was how you open sets a foundation for the rest of your presentation? Some people might be thinking, oh my God, what happened to rule number 1? I sorted you. Right from the off. Anyone seen that Salt Bae, that meme? I sorted you. Anyone want to know what rule 1 is? I could have said to you, rule 1 is this, rule 2 is this. I went straight in at rule number 2 because I want you to wonder at some point, oh my God, did he actually say rule number 1? Did he say rule number 1? Did I miss that? I'm trying to sort you. I'm trying to sort you my content the whole way. For those who want to know rule number 1, audience engagement, that's your slide title. Again, you don't want it to be too predictable. You want it to be a creative title. Hence why my presentation title would stop. Don't do another presentation until you listen to what I have to share with you. Bullets. See, I prefer images. Curiosity, you can use eyes. You can use Curious George. There's many different ways how you can make your content creative and exciting. With that said, louder than I wanted it to be. So I'll pause that there. But I just want to say, I started my presentation by telling you to stop and not to make another presentation till you at least considered what I want to share with you over the next couple of minutes. Black screen, because where do I want attention? Where do I want attention now? Good, because I'm going to go in my bag. Now, ACAS, feel free to go. I've given you some tools for you to add to your own arsenal to help you with your own workshops. Just like a trucker who wears these hats in America, as they drive down the massive country roads with all their tools in their lorry, I too have now given you some tools to help you on your journey, on your path for your workshops. So that said, I want to say thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. We now have time for a Q&A if anyone has any questions.